Hello and welcome into the SorareData Football Strategy Show. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined once again by Sean Newsom, PSU fans 2, today to talk about a lot of panic. Sean, tell everyone what you said to me after you found out what the topic was, or when you saw the thumbnail.
Oh, I said that Angelino should 100% be the thumbnail right now. 100%. I've had my DMs blown up from the panic of people that want out of Angelino because he just has been horrendous, which we'll talk about because he is a good topic of conversation.
To be honest, I'm not keeping this just to Angelino. Like, it feels like all of Galatasaray, not all, but like everybody who like built their Galatasaray stacks thought that they would already be sleeping on beds of cash, and they aren't yet. I think the Feyenoord people are feeling a little iffy. And there was another one that I can't even remember at this point that I'm sure we'll get to.
The Midtjylland people?
No, the Midtjylland people are fine. We're cleaning up midweeks. We're good.
Okay, gotcha.
We're just happy. We're happy people. We don't let something as silly as football bring us down. But even though Alex Wilson's saying it's been a terrible game week for the Sorare Scandinavia Discord, not true. I was banging my limited threshold thanks to the Sorare Scandinavia Discord with my burger mealing purchase recently. But anyway, thank you to everybody for joining us. Mike Baston first in today. SR Monkey was second. Well done, you two. And Juju added them on the podium. Sean, before we get into all that good stuff, a lot of people keep talking about Jota. Do you think it's possible that when Al Ittihad thought they signed Jota, they thought they signed Diogo Jota and not the other one? And then he showed up and they were like, we've made a huge mistake.
Well, I mean, isn't this the good Jota anyways?
I suppose, well, no, he is for SO5. I don't think most people around the world are saying this Jota is better than Diogo Jota.
Oh, okay.
And so there's that. But anyway, oh yeah, the Liverpool people. Thank you, David Taylor, for pointing that out. Liverpool people, at least the Trent Alexander-Arnold people, not so happy.
Well, that was a very, very tilting situation. But, I mean, I hate Liverpool, so...
That helped anyway, right?
Yeah, them being terrible and pathetically embarrassing themselves to start a game was at least humorous to me. At that time, I thought my line might have been dead anyways because Messi, I thought there was rumors that Messi was injured and not going to play. So I was like, whatever. I don't really care then. The Chelsea people, I don't know what the Chelsea people were thinking to begin with. So
that was a weird one. I agree with you on that one. The any sort of Chelsea optimism always felt misguided to me for this season.
Yeah. I don't really have much else to say on the Chelsea people. It's like you sort of deserve that one. Like, I mean, if you were a Chelsea believer before the season, it was like you deserve that one.
I do find it funny that, and this actually applies to a few things that we'll talk about later, but teams that, and not many have like drastically overhauled as much as Chelsea, but it takes time for players to kind of acclimate to new teams. And especially when it's like a lot of new players at the same time, that takes time, it just takes a little bit. And that's part of the whole, like, be patient, because like real clubs have to be patient, and the whole, it just takes time. Sean, what do you think about Manito and Chad here saying to buy Paulinho?
Oh, well, I think Paulinho stinks, and I know Laird also thinks Paulinho stinks, but I think Jerk Harris is very good.
He looks legit.
Looks very good. I don't know if the AA will be there, but he looks very good. And I also was talking to Laird this weekend because he does not have this person, but I think Gonzalez could have a pretty damn big year because they're sort of funneling him back to play like the 8. And he looks really, really active in the 8, getting way more defensive stats than you're accustomed to with him. Like this weekend, he had a couple tackles, a couple interceptions, and he was involved in a lot of duels due to that. So I think there's a pretty solid case that Gonzalez has a pretty good year here as long as he stays. But like, yeah, you see the AA, both of these two games is here. He is taking most all sets, not all, but a good chunk of the sets. I'm going to assume he'll still be on penalties, but that's to be determined because they haven't drawn one yet. It could be like Jork Harris takes penalties. But I think Gonzalez is in for a pretty good season if he can string some decisives together. Because like some of the game too, he pushes up to like the cam roll or like the free flowing roll, but like he just seems to be very involved offensively and also involved more defensively than we're accustomed to.
The only reason why I was going to push back on the all sets is because my boy Marcus Edwards here was taking some, two of which led to big chances created, which you will notice someone else whose name rhymes with Fraudlino, had two big chances missed.
Yeah. I mean, look, if Paulinho's going to start every game up in that spot, which I don't think he will, but if he does, he's going to produce. Like, they look good to me. Sporting has looked pretty decent offensively. They definitely have had some lapses defensively, obviously, but like they look to be pretty solid offensively so far.
Sporting and lapses in defense. Very, very, very true. Anyway. So yeah, I don't think the Sporting people are panicking, but we'll see. There's a lot of panic out there. How do you feel about Galatasaray as somebody who is one of the Galatasaray stackers out there?
So first of all, I think the dogs are going to bark here in a second a lot. But anyways, there we go. But I think it's going to. I can hear stuff going on outside, which they'll probably bark about. But look, I'm a lot less losing my mind over them than others. So Sorare Mexico, I saw that he is selling half his gallery, which I just assume is because of Galatasaray. But I know
it is not. But
he and I have talked because we were talking. We're like, yeah, we wish we bought Bardachki instead of Angelino. Which yes, that is true. I wish I had Bardachki. But I'm not a big panicker, I guess, with stuff. Like I typically will play it out. But, like I got Gator Guy freaking out about Angelino. I got Haber freaking out about Angelino. Everyone's freaking out about Angelino. And here's the thing. He is really bad defensively. He is so bad. He is so bad. So I'm just watching these games and dude, like it's like the guy just like dribbles towards him and Angelino's just beat. Like doesn't do anything, just dribbles towards him. And then all of a sudden Angelino's like 8 yards behind him and you're just like, my God. The first midweek game, or one of the first midweek games, I forget which game it was. I think it was the one like they actually kept a clean sheet because I had a stack and it worked. And which game did Angelino play? It was the first midweek game where he played and like I had the full stack in. So it was the first game against Zalgiris where they won 1-0 at home. So
Bardachki with the
Bardachki at 100, I had like good score because I think I played Tadic in this lineup. I think I actually I might have won something with this or like finished higher end. But anyways, there was like 3 plays in the second half where it was just like a basic ball down the right side. And Bardachki and Angelino were just toasted by like so many yards by the opposition player. They were just so slow. But anyways, Chani brings up a good point, and that's why I did stuff the way I did stuff. The safest bet with the Turkish teams is to have the starting Turkish players because of the foreign rule. Then you build from there. Gator Guy didn't even know this rule existed, so, I mean, that's on him. But you have to play, I believe, 3 Turkish players. So Bardachki is always going to play in the league. This isn't as much for the midweek, but like in league, Bardachki is almost always going to play. He's almost always going to play in the midweek too. Muslera is just going to start. He's their goalie. Like you don't have to worry about Muslera. Actorglue is going to start almost every game because he is their best foreign offensive player. And then 1. So like here you see they played 2. They played Kutlu and Yilmaz. Granted, this was a midweek, so they didn't have to start 3. But Kutlu's likely going to be the one that's sacrificed a lot of the time, and they're going to play like Lucas Torreira. They're going to play Demirbay, but Demirbay is likely the favorite for the other Turkish spot a lot of the time. Yeah, so Chani said in the UCL, UEL, they can play all of them. So yeah, the midweeks doesn't count. The weekends, though, you can feel confident. So like on a weekend, you feel pretty damn confident that like Bardachki's going to play, Actorglue's going to play, and then 1 probably will end up being Demirbay eventually. But like Otherwise, they can play like Yilmaz, or like they have another foreign fullback they could run, or they have Akgun they can get starts to sometimes. But I think it'll probably be Demirbe, and then they because most likely like Yilmaz is going to get replaced in the lineup from Ziyech. But anyways, there's going to be a little bit more questions in regards to their forward four. Like realistically, the front six, I think, is going to be the spots that are going to be changed over mostly, assuming that no one leaves in the back. But I think the back five is going to be pretty much that back five. But anyways, Angelino's been horrendous. So I got Haber and Gator Guy freaking out in Discord to me that he sucks. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, look, you didn't buy Angelino because he's good defensively.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is he does not look like he has the ability to be one of those high-end fullback type scorers because he doesn't play those balls at the edge of the box. And those balls at the edge of the box are gold. That is how you become an elite level scorer, is that you are a fullback or you're a player that just passes the ball back and forth at the edge of the box. Because each time you complete like a 2-yard pass at the edge of the box, it's like 0.8 points. So you do like 3 little ticky-tackers at the edge of the box, boom, 2.5 points. So that is where you get those guys. So anyways, like I think Angelino is not that. He's not going to be an elite level scorer, unfortunately. He definitely had the possibility because he is on some sets, and that is one of the keys to being that type of player. But he recklessly just jams in balls. But the issue is like, I don't know. They're also like, he hasn't connected with any of his crosses yet. Like he's probably just sending in 15 balls a game. Like you're going to get on the end of them at some point. Like they're going to happen. Like he lost the ball 23 times. I would say 15 of those were him lumping the ball into the box to someone and it just not quite connecting. Also, like, I mean, even with this game, he had a big chance created and an attempted assist and it was missed. And he had 8 penalty kick entries. So he had 10 offensive points just from that stuff anyways. So, and also he plays really aggressive. That's why he also gets toasted so much. But when he has those games where like that aggressiveness results in like a couple tackles won instead of giving up a foul and losing a duel, like that's like a 20-point swing comparatively to what you're doing. So I don't think he has the chance to be as good as I thought he could be. But I mean, if you're looking at him, he's putting up some pretty bad games and they're not even that bad. I mean, the 32 is obviously bad, but like he put up a 50 and a 48 and he doesn't have decisives and most of it's from the clean sheet, but he's not getting negative points. He's getting positive points in those couple games. And he gets a decisive, like if he gets a decisive there, you're at 75 or 80. So to me, it's like, it's not the end of the world, but I also paid for him at a lot cheaper price point than others did. Like I think I paid 0.3 for him, and I think for 0.3, I'm totally fine with what he is. And I just know that like I can play a lot more matchups and stuff. Like so, Haber and Gator Guy played him this weekend, and we're like, oh my god, this sucks, it's horrible. I just didn't play him because I just had other options. So it's one of those things where I can probably deal with him and be like, oh, they're a 3.5 goal favorite against this turd box team this weekend. That he's a really good play. And play him there. And then it's like, all right, he plays at Trabzonspor, or he's like at home against Trabzonspor, who's like not the best matchup. Then I'm gonna be like, all right, I don't really have to use him this week.
Yeah, I think he's the one that most people are surprised about. I think part of it is the enthusiasm of a player who has played well elsewhere and going to a new league that everyone thinks is worse than where he came from, and therefore he has to do well. And Chani is quite familiar with the Turkish Super League and is one of the early ones who was like, I actually don't think he's going to be that good, and kind of explained that the way the league works, a player like Angelino tends not to thrive, like the way he plays. And he even said it here. Angelino's a left wing back who can't play in 4 in the back, so it was a reckless buy. And like Chani said that from the beginning, so that's why I'm only pointing it out. But I'm going to push back on the AA has been good because
it's not been good.
Well, without the clean sheets, it's been dreadful.
Yeah.
And so, but that being said, Galatasaray probably gets a bunch of clean sheets anyway.
Correct.
3 straight home games is interesting. I don't even know what they have up. That's not so bad, I guess.
No, but I also think, right, like a lot of it too is like their attacking options. Those were the guys that all came in late. Like Icardi came in not in the best shape, I think, and like you're playing with Bakambu, who's not good enough. So it's one of those things. Like I think their offense will figure things out a little bit as the season goes. And Angelino's been dealing with a little injury, but like, yeah, I totally agree. He's not been that good. Like he's been pretty poor to say the least.
It does feel like there have been so many moves since he signed. Like, actually, it's not even that many moves since he signed, but everything is also moving him further away from set pieces, and
Yeah.
that seemed to have been built into his price that he would get some because he's kind of had some everywhere he plays, and it looks like they just have no. I mean, frankly, he's just so out of position if he's in the corner there to actually defend, and if they need him to defend, then like they can't have him up there.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think the person most hurt is Actor Glue because Angelino's still taking a few, but like Angelino can probably be okay without it. Actor Glue probably needs it more so. And yeah, Ziyech coming in, like you expect he's going to take most everything. Like that's like sort of the assumption. But anyways, yeah, like I agree. I think that there is, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. There's panic, and then there's like, all right, do I need to get out of this guy? Do I not need to get out of this guy? Where do I need to go? And I think like you can get out of Angelino at this point. Like I think he has not looked very good. Like I think that if you want to get out of Angelino, I totally understand that. Now, am I going to go to Pavel Trader and dump his ass? No. Like I'm going to use him in my lineups occasionally. Here's a question. I have a question for you. So hypothetically, Laird, I want to see what I'm not going to tell you who this was or anything in regards to this. I just want to hear what your decision would be here. So you, Andrew Laird, have decided you need to buy a defender from Galatasaray, and you have Bardachki. It is for like Challenger Europe. What defender are you buying and why?
I need another one?
Yeah, like you want another defender not named Bardachki on Galatasaray. Who are you buying? For Challenger 4 or Gas 4?
I assume you're going to walk me into your boy Sasha, whatever his name is.
No, I want you to go look through the options and tell me who you're buying and why. And then I'll tell you the point to this. So show your screen and go through the defenders and explain why.
I was looking at it.
I was
just going with, it's not Angelino.
It could be. I just want you to tell me.
No, I'm saying it's not. I'm not buying it.
Okay.
But these scores look fun enough that I would buy that one.
Well, I mean, how about you look through everyone and give me your opinion?
That's really all I needed. I didn't know that like Nelson's like okay. He's maybe cheaper, but like this is not fun enough for me.
Wow. Okay, you picked the. So, anyways, a certain user, he goes by the name of Tuggy, just comes in and the other day is like, I'm going to buy Bowie, and I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense. You're buying Bowie, none whatsoever.
He's like the U23 doesn't help.
No, I mean he's literally like 3x the price, 2.5 to 3x the price of Nelson, and Nelson doesn't have rumors that Nelson's going to go to Burnley or something. If you're playing U23, obviously you buy Bowie. Bowie's a pretty good option. So I'm just not buying Bowie. And like you don't even need a Galatasaray defender, but like yeah, Tuggy's like I'm gonna go buy Bowie, and I'm just like,
what's the reason to not buy Bardachki?
He has Bardachki.
Oh, so yeah. I think the real answer is you don't buy two of them.
Oh, Chauny said that Nelson hasn't had rumors to leave though recently. Chauny, like that was like way earlier. Yeah, Bowie had rumors to go to Brighton, which is just death.
Have you seen Brighton scores? That doesn't look like death.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's not. Anyways.
I just wouldn't double up defensively.
Well, you're just not going to pay the price that Bowie's going to cost you for not playing him in U23.
To not play in U23 seems silly,
yeah. Like if you're not buying him for U23, like there's no reason you should be buying Bowie. So I told Tuggy like I don't want Bowie after next week against Mold most likely. I'm like just wait and you can buy my Bowie and I'll happily get rid of it.
Yeah, I'm moving further away from the idea that having two defenders and a goalkeeper is not the best.
I tend to agree with that. I tend to agree that 2 defenders and a goalie is a little bit of an overkill, with the exception of like I do think there's merit to having like a rare goalie, super rare defender, and then another defender as an option, because there are some times where it's like such a good spot that you can feel really good. Like that first game against Zalgiris, like I think there's merit that you would have wanted a second defender in your lineup at the beginning. Like looking at this lineup and knowing what the like Mertens wasn't necessarily guaranteed to start. The forward you didn't know who was going to start. So like looking at this, like if I'm trying to do a Galatasaray situation, there's a good possibility like I would have been happy with like Muslera, Bardachki, one of the other defenders, Actorglue, and then someone.
Yeah, I think just the full 5-man stack doesn't even like
I don't disagree with that, but I also think that there is some merit to having it available. Jonathan B just said I play the River Plate double super defender, and it's done very good for him. I'm assuming that means it's done very well.
Yes, done. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but like I think there's merit to having it available. I don't think you always need to use it, if that makes sense. Because
Sure.
I've actually said Haber, when he built stuff out, he did that a lot. And I said the issue with doing that is you hamstring yourself into playing both. Like if you have them, you just play it, and then you're
especially if you have the 2 super rares.
If you have the 2 super rares, you're going to play. And then I said, I'm like, if you have another elite level card, but you're doing that, and that other elite level card is a defender, you just never, ever, ever, ever can play it. Because the only time you would play it is like if that matchup's not very good, because you don't want to play it anyways. So I definitely would prefer to have one. My preference is typically like a rare goalie, a super defender, and then a rare defender. So like for example, with Galatasaray, I have Angelino Super, Bardachki, and Muslera. So like the idea behind it would be that like if it's like really, 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 really good, I can play all 3. If it's not, but it's good, I can play just Angelino and Muslera. Now, obviously, Angelino's been poor, and I don't really want him in a key lineup right now, but that was the thought process behind it to begin with.
Yeah, I just feel like it's built for like the 3 times an entire season, and it's just not the best use of funds.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I actually, so funnily enough, I ended up with just like a super rare stack of, or not a super, but like a rare pro stack of PSV. I just ended up with it because I have Bakayoko, Noah Lang, Veerman, Sangare super rare, and then I won Walter Benitez. So I was like, well, I mean, I guess I need a defender, so I wanted to get Boscagli, but I tried to get Boscagli, and I just couldn't win Boscagli on auction. So I was like, and then I looked, and Van Aanholt's been pretty good, so I buy Van Aanholt. So I bought Van Aanholt, and then he got hurt. But I was like, yeah, might as well, because it's
How
like,
long is he out? I noticed his super rare in one of the bots galleries today, and I was like, oh, he must be hurt.
Well, he did. I don't know how serious it is. I'm going to assume if someone's botting it, it's probably worse than I want it to be. But yeah, I was like, so anyways, I was sitting there, and I was talking to Haber this weekend, or no, I was talking to Gator Guy, and I was like, I feel like for me personally, and this is my gallery, because my gallery is typically big, is having a full lineup of a team in Rare Pro is great, just because of the random games they get where they're islanding. And teams that play in Europe, especially, they have random island games at times because they have to reschedule shit. And then you're just sitting there, you're like, oh, I got a full team, cool, and you run it. And
that's the best. That's the best situation, like reason to have a 5-man stack.
Yeah, and that's like, it's so convenient because you're not always gonna win. You're not always gonna win with it, but like if you have a full like, and it works a lot better too in not the rare division, because like a lot of people might have a lot of rare stacks, but less people are going to have a rare pro stack of a certain. Yeah. So even if a situation comes and you have like they give away 5 prizes, but there's like 2 games and you have like a full stack and no one else has it, you're just like, all right, I'm in pretty damn good shape to do well with it. So like that's why I try to have full stacks of these higher end teams if I can a lot of the time, just because it gives you a lot of flexibility in those situations. Also, you never know when they're going to have like an elite level god matchup where you're just like last week. So in the past I had an AZ Alkmaar stack, which has been great for me, but it's fallen apart because the transfers. Like I lost Reinders, I lost Bukema. But like last week they played in the midweek against Santa Coloma at home, and they were like a 3.5 goal favorite, by far the biggest favorite on the week. And like, if I had a full stack, it would have been really nice too, but I don't anymore. But like, yeah, you look like Pavlidis smacked, Mijnan snapped, or Minans smacked, Sugawara smacked, Van Bommel was very good. And just having would be pretty nice. Haber wants to know if he is.
Haber, hello. Yes, you missed your weekly bashing.
I didn't bash.
No,
yeah, it wasn't a bashing. We were talking about Angelino and how much you panic and hate him, Haber. It wasn't a bashing. It was more of a just commenting how much you hate him.
Yeah. I was going to go to another team, but let's stay on Alkmaar for a second here, because it kind of goes into Chani's question here. He said, on today's topic, has there been a situation where you guys held on to bad performing cards who, after the season kicked off badly, turned into top utility items for you? And I was going to bring a player that you just mentioned and whose name you pronounce differently now and whose name I've never heard in real life. Minans?
That's how the pronunciation is on the games that I'm watching. If there's a Dutch person in here, you can correct me, but I do not believe it's Mijnans. I believe it is Minans.
Hey, I'm game with that. So Sven Minans, who you have previously said thought could be like one of the best U23 midfielders this season because of all the changes. And then the first couple games, he looked awful. And you were like, yeah, maybe he isn't going to be that. And now he's absolutely smacking again.
He's looked better. The last couple games, he's looked a lot better.
Yeah.
He's looked a lot better. He looks a lot more comfortable with the way that I think that first game was they played like Reinders played a lot of friendlies. They just have rotated everyone up front the whole preseason. I think they just were completely out of whack at the beginning of the season.
Sure.
And yeah, he looked bad. Like he looked really bad, and he's looked better. I watched a good chunk of yesterday's game too. He looked a lot better yesterday too.
So those who panicked early on him may be regretting it.
Yeah. So like, I don't typically panic sell players. If I have put in the thought on someone, I can reassess. Like I said, I've reassessed the situation with Angelino, and I think he's definitely not near as good as what I thought he would be. But I don't typically panic sell guys. Like if I put in thought into buying them beforehand, I have put in the thought to make that decision, right? So like I don't typically just sell someone after they have a couple bad games. I will typically hold them and assume they come good. Same thing of like I buy a guy that is not a starter, and which I'll use on AZ, and I don't have this player, so this is probably a mistake on my end. But because there's a super that I am going to try to win as well. But everyone was raving about Poku to start the season, and then Poku has not started the games. It's been Lotto and then Van Bommel, and then they wanted to start Van Brederode, and Carlson started. But Poku looked really good the last couple games. Like he's looked pretty good off the bench. So like if people bought Poku, so like Poku, I guess he's been rising a bit, but like if people were like, I want to get out of Poku and stuff, it's like, I don't know, he's looked pretty good. If you thought he was going to be the guy, like there's a chance he's the guy at some point during the season. So like if I had got into Poku, which I hadn't, and then I was like, oh, he's not starting, I'm going to get out of him and go into someone else. Like, I think that would have been like, if you look 14 days ago in rares, like he went for 0.192. And then 5 days ago, he went for 0.159. So like he definitely went down and then has crept back up because again, he had a nice game yesterday, which helped his price, I assume. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like to me, it's all, you and I've talked about it, like it's all about putting in the thought process before you actually enact and go into something, and then live with the consequences to some extent.
Yep, that makes sense. I think, how long is Van Brederode out for? Is it a while?
I have no idea. No clue.
I remember people were getting very excited about him. And to be honest, the biggest change with Alkmaar may just be once Carlson actually finally leaves. It feels like they've been in this situation for over a year where they're like, he's going to leave, and then he keeps staying. I guess Bologna's back, I'll say, because I feel like the rumor has been Bologna this entire time, and yet nothing has happened. But it just seems like once he leaves, they'll be able to actually figure out like what they can do. And I mean, they're doing pretty well anyway at the beginning of the season, results wise. So.
Yeah. So Juju just brought up, it comes down to the key skill to know when the way you're doing is good or bad. And I think that's like a lot of how I'm do stuff typically is like I buy guys who, if they play, will likely be good, right? I don't buy guys that I just, if they play, it doesn't matter. They're not like, I'm not going to buy a Vlahovic, right? Like we've talked about it before. Like I'm not going to go out there and buy a Vlahovic because it's just like, all right, this guy plays, who cares? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's going to be mediocre regardless if he plays or not. But I might buy a Poku and be like, if Poku plays, he seems like a guy that would score very well within the matrix if he plays consistently. So, like, yeah, a lot of the times I'm going to be, SR Monkey said that both Van Brederode and Walter Goes are going to miss a month or two, is the rumor going on. But I think that, like, yeah, if you bought Van Brederode and you're like, I think Van Brederode will score well if he plays, well, then you probably keep him even if he's not playing. But, like, yeah, you shouldn't be buying guys that are, like, if they play, they're not going to be good anyways. You just sort of, you clear them. And you buy guys that, if they play, will be good, and then you just sort of ride out the waves of the situation and hope that they eventually get playing time.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the one that I think a lot of people have been increasingly frustrated on, and there was a huge injury update yesterday, but Feyenoord don't look as great as everyone thought, and now Justin Bijlo is out for God knows how long with a broken wrist. If you had a bunch of Feyenoord, are you out, or is it just they'll come good?
I mean, I think I would be okay with them still to some extent. Obviously, that is unfortunate with Bijlo because I really need him. So
it's a killer.
I blame Johnny for that. I actually blame myself for not selling to Johnny when he wanted the Bijlo card. But
well,
yeah,
I was gonna say, there were plenty of people who were looking for Feyenoord cards. So
I basically wanted to sell Bijlo, but I needed to get into another elite level super rare goalie, which you know how difficult that is.
Yeah,
I was just like, it doesn't make sense to sell until I can get into someone. So I just told Johnny, I'm like, go buy from someone else because I don't think there's going to be a option to do it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this, like, I don't know. It's I wouldn't panic. I think if you're on these guys, you're okay with them. The person people are really panicking on is Zaruki. He's the one people are really panicking on. And he's been, I think he threw a bit of a fit.
Sounds like
he got red card sub. But, like, yeah, the first game, like, I mean, they were dominating and then got a red card, which if you get a red card, it just blows up everything from your game. Gank has been unfortunate. The red card by Paintsel in the midweek was, that was so frustrating because they were just dominating that game. And I think they win that game a lot of the time and guarantee themselves European football. But they have a lot of injuries. Like, they have a boatload of different injuries and they just don't look great right now. But, like, a lot of that is, like, you look at it and, like, so look at this lineup that started this game. And, like, Sadiq is in. KMB, they don't really know who their preferred left back is right now. Aziz has been terrible when he plays. Haynen's out, so Gallarza has been playing to some extent. Urasor is playing at right wing yesterday. He was terrible. Paintsel, they benched because I think they were pissed at him. Tolu's been in and out of the lineup. He's had knocks. Federa's been injured. Trezor's been injured. Like, it's just been a disaster for them so far.
I see that Luca Oyen's back. I don't think I even realized he was back. Is he going to sneak his way in? Sorry, I asked you a question just the
sorry.
Luca Oyen.
Oh, no, I think Oyen got kind of screwed. His injury last year really screwed him. Like, because Federa is definitely ahead of him in the pecking order.
Yeah, that makes sense. Javier said, can we get a review of Ghent's season so far? I feel like this is getting into a team review, but I guess that's exactly what we're supposed to do. Huge blow because the midweeks haven't been covered. That the midweek thing is, like, super weird, and it got even weirder. Like, the way that Sorare treating it now with not putting any prize pools out until, like, the last possible second, so they know how many games there are. But yeah, the Ghent situations, like, they're they're not even going to like we're not even going to see all of the games here because they haven't been covered. But it's like it's tough luck at this point for those who have had them because they look good.
Yeah, I mean the midweeks. That's the thing is like the midweeks at the beginning of the season, you just sort of have to be like, I don't know, you can't really like you can have them, and then if they get them, great. If they don't, like that just is what it is, right?
Yeah, I think wasn't there like a goalie situation with Ghent? Didn't what's his name get a random start?
Well, Rofe,
Davey
it's
Rowe.
been weird. Rofe
Yeah,
like started, then he like missed a game, and everyone's like, all right, Rofe's done, and then Rofe came back, then he started in league, and it's been crazy in terms of like Rofe and Nardi situation.
yeah, that's oof. Ugh.
Yeah, Hugo brought up the Vlahovic is one of the best strikers in the world, and he is mediocre. Yes, that honestly, that's being kind. I don't even know if he's mediocre, to be completely honest. And he's saying that it is just Hube's fault. So the issue with that is that Vlahovic has never shown that he's good from a Sorare perspective. So I just don't think it's just Hube. Like he has a long track record of not even mediocrity. And it's unfortunate. And like to be fair, Haaland is good. The best striker in the world is good, and that's just how the matrix works. Strikers are not very good from a Sorare perspective, but like yeah, Vlahovic is calling him mediocre is very very favorable to him in terms of a perspective. Oh, Chani brings up a good one because I'll tell you what. I'll go on a rant here. So Chani brings up on the topic of bad starts, Griezmann has been asked. Lamar has taken sets and ruins his score. Also, Carrasco. Carrasco has been taking sets too to some extent. But I'll tell you what, there is not a single thing worse than watching Atletico Madrid games. Like you just watch it. I go if you go watch the game yesterday and just tell me you're able to stay awake. Like it is so dull. Like the crowd just sits there. Like I watched the second half yesterday, I think, or like last 30 minutes. Because if Griezmann scored, I would have had a chance to like get a card in Champ Super Rare. So I was like, all right, whatever. The crowd didn't make a noise for 40 minutes because nothing happened. Literally nothing happened for 40 minutes. Just like this, just everyone's just nothing. Yeah, and
But
Josh,
like that's not new though.
tell you for sure you did not miss anything after you turned it off.
But that's not new. Like we know that.
No,
We know that
not.
the foundation of their entire team is like don't concede, and that just doesn't lead to great football.
No, Laird. The whole basis of their team is don't do anything offensive. That is
Well,
it's dreadful. Like I just am watching it. It's just like, oh, it's horrendous. It's horrific. Like watching him is horrific. There's no pleasure.
I didn't know Llorente was still there. I thought wasn't he going to Saudi or
I don't know.
Qatar or
I
something
can't
like
keep
that?
track of stuff. There was someone the other day that like was on the field, and I was like, I didn't even know you were still there. I thought you left. I can't keep track of all the transfers.
Llorente is probably it. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, Quinny's saying Atletico is a plain and pleasure thing. There's no pleasure. It's just pain. Like
There's just
it's not even pain. It's
Carrasco.
just like
Wait, Carrasco is center back. Is that right?
no, he played wingback. It's not even a pleasure or pain thing. It's a like mind-numbingly dull thing. It is like watching paint dry. Like it's horrendous. Like I watch a lot. Like we've talked about it before. Like you watch some games, I watch a shitload of games.
Yeah.
Not like I'm coming up to my busy season, so I will watch significantly less in the next like 5 months. But I typically watch games all day, every day to some extent. Like if I have games that are relevant to me from a Sorare perspective, I typically will watch them. And I watch so much good, exciting stuff. And then I had Atletico game on for 40 minutes yesterday, and I was just, holy, this is awful.
Yeah.
And I hated myself for having to watch it. And it sucks that I have a Griezmann Super Rare that ends up in good lineups because, my God, do I not want to watch them ever.
It was so good last season. Well, I don't know.
So, anyways, they pulled off Carrasco and Lamar at like the 60-minute mark. And immediately within literally one touch, Griezmann doubled his AA because they subbed him off for an offensive corner, and he took the corner, and it led to a chance created.
To a chance created
from like 2 AA to like 4.5. So he's still good. Like Griezmann will still have good games, but man, it's awful to watch them.
So you're getting out?
if someone wants to give me 3 ETH, I'll leave. Which I've gotten offers of maybe not 3, but like so I have had an offer for like 2.75. Actually, I may have had an offer for 3. I'm not sure. His price hasn't tanked, actually, surprisingly.
No, it hasn't.
Rare, his rare was up to 1 ETH at one point, but
yeah,
it still
it doesn't tank because people pay. It's one of those cards that like people pay a lot for it, so they don't want to like get rid of it.
Well, actually, so you know why I probably would not get rid of him? Because, and we've talked about it before, that it's a very minimal thing that you should concern yourself about unless you have super high-end cards. But I have a really, really good French stack. France plays, and like when they play Gibraltar, it's just like fire them up, and like I have like a rare pro stack of it, so it's really nice. Actually, that brings up a good point. Chawny's brought up the person that actually my hot take's looking good, but Tadic has surpassed Griezmann in value. I said at the beginning of the season when he made that transfer, I thought there was a pretty good chance that he would be better at Fenerbahce than he was and would have been at Ajax this year. And he's looked damn good for Fenerbahce. Like he's averaged like 85 a game and he's missed a pen.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he had minus 20 in a game where he scored 80 in pen misses and big chances missed.
So, I mean, I have Tadic, so I'm getting very excited. They've played 4 absolutely dreadful, 3 dreadful opponents 4 times. Yeah. These are probably their best games of the entire season.
Yes and no. Like, I think they have a lot of very favorable games.
They have a lot of favorable ones. These are the best.
Yeah. I'll buy that. I think that's valid to some extent. He might rotate today too, actually. So like people will probably like panic and be like, "Oh my god, he didn't start." Yada yada yada.
Yeah. I like this question from Wedge Game. Speaking of set pieces, what sample size do you feel you know who's on sets for a given team? Is it 1 game, 3-5, Griezmann, Enzo at Chelsea, Hoffman over Wirtz at Leverkusen, etc.?
I think it's more of a range thing, right? It's more of a like these guys can take sets. Like some teams, it's going to be like this guy's taking sets. It does not matter. Like the Revs, like Gill's going to take all the sets unless Boo is on the field, and then he might take 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the game, like if Gill's tired or something, he might not take a set. But like Gill's going to take the sets. Whereas like you look at some of these other teams, and it's like, all right, there's going to be other people. Like Fenerbahce is a good example. Like I don't really see many people on that team that are going to take sets outside of Tadic, except for maybe like Szymanski. Like I could see Szymanski taking some sets.
Before you go on, I just wanted to point out something. So for those of you who are looking for this, because one of our mutual friends didn't know this existed. So if, let's say, you are looking at Tadic, I'll do this from the Tadic page, and you want to find out who has been taking sets for Fenerbahce, if you just click on the team name, I usually change it to last 5 because I just prefer the most recent ones. But if you change the stats to last 5 and you scroll down, you can see who takes the corners recently. And as you can see, Tadic has been taking them with Szymanski as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's more of a like range thing. So like if like Griezmann is still taking some sets. Like it's not like he's not taking any sets, but he's definitely like negatively impacted by it. So it's definitely a situation where it's not as nice as what you would want, whereas like a Tadic situation, you can clearly see Tadic is taking a good chunk of the sets. Yeah, so SR Monkey said that Robertson is taking a
but that's not like a crazy thing.
No, like they do different shit, but it's usually the fullbacks. Like, so it's definitely a situation where Robertson will take some. So like pretty much every team, nobody has like a full set share. Like some people will take different things at different times. Like even I Bayern game, Kimmich didn't take everything. Sane took a couple as well this weekend. And it hurts because every set you don't have, it hurts. Like the higher share you have and the more sets you have, the more points you generate. Because we've talked about it before. It doesn't even matter if you actually get a decisive off it. You disconnecting on someone's head is like 3 to 7 points, depending on who you are. Yeah. That's a shitload.
Yeah. Like fundamentally, that's why we focus so much on set pieces. Yeah. Like people are always like, I think everyone always just assumes it's like for an assist or a free kick goal. Right. And like those happen, sure. But like, that's not why we like them. It's for what Sean just said, the 7-point just corner header into the box. That's header that's saved. Like that's what you want.
there's like two things that are like super key to being super high end players. Set pieces is one of them. Like if you have set pieces, it's probably if you have set pieces on a high end team, it's probably worth like 10 to 15 points a game. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. And then the other one is you have having a boatload of possession, because defenders having a boatload of possession and just passing the ball in the final third is just absolute bonkers in terms of production. Like if you have, I mean, literally looking at, I'm just any defender. Like if you have a defender and your guy sits there and makes a pass at the edge of the box into the box, right? So you're getting 0.1 for an accurate pass, 0.4 for a final third pass, and then you're getting a half a point for a box entry. You get 1 point if they just literally pass the ball 2 feet to someone at the edge of the box into the box. And if they and then that guy passes back out and he passes back in, that's another point. It's just and not to mention, like if you just sit there and you pass back and forth 3 times, like down in the corner, that's 1.5 points. It's a lot. Like, and I think people do not fully understand how like alpha that is. Like that type of point production is so important.
So a quick story on that. Whenever there's a SorareData gathering and we like watch a match, the number of times where like if there's a defender on one half of the field and he's passing ahead and it like passes the halfway line, everyone's like, oh yeah. And then if the attacking player like comes back and gets it before the line, everyone's like, no, come on. And then box entries, all of it. It's like the way that you watch football because it's so rare, just completely different.
I watched a couple games without having Sorare implications on it. Probably like international for the USA games. It's so hard to watch the game and not think of it from a Sorare perspective now. It's very difficult. But yeah, like the I remember the old Ajax, like the sit at the just at on your side of half and just send it like Timber or Lisandro Martinez would send it from their side of the half down to the fullback who would be super deep in the final third and just like play that pass like 3 times. And you're just like, damn, that's like 3 points. And you're just sitting there like, oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah, like this is why we all loved Jury and Timber.
Yes. And but like, yeah, you like actually click on like one of those games back in the day. Like click on one of those 100s and see like what he did in that game. Because like, yeah, he had 50A. Like, so click on that 66A.
202. That's what
let's see where it came from. Like, you're just gonna be like, he didn't have to do anything and got all those points. So yeah, like, he didn't need a decisive. He had 100 without the decisive. And let's look at like what he did. So he had some tackles won, had some offensive stats, but look at that final third passing situation. And just so many points. So many points. So anyways, like that type of stuff is just the gold mine for defenders. And Lisandro probably did the same thing. Yeah, like look at this. Like look at the long pass into the
is insane.
Half. Like
they both got 120 points.
Yeah. And they probably did very little in that game.
Right.
So Juju said he always is checking if Opta counts a missed chance as a big chance miss. So it's funny because some people will look and like it won't immediately be there because it usually takes them a few minutes to update the big chance miss. They're like, oh, they didn't get a big chance miss. I'm like, oh, you wait, it's coming. It'll be there soon. And they are a little bit too quick on the he's not going to get a BCM.
My favorite is when you're like not, or it's just like it's coming. You're just like, you see it and you're just like, that is definitely a big chance missed. And then there's the people who are like, not there yet. And you're like, there's no way that's not a BCM.
Yeah. They're actually, so I think that, so last week I had Pavlidis and I watched the game against Santa Coloma and dude had like 3 BCMs, like very, very clear. Had very, very clear BCMs. They only gave him 1. I was watching the game, like, he should have 3 for sure. I think if it got rescored before they paid out, because it was a Thursday game, typically, like, Thursday games don't get rescored. Yeah. And it was a Thursday game, and he didn't get rescored. And I was like, yeah, I think if he gets rescored, he loses, like, 2 more BCMs. Yeah. And it's tricky. The ones that are really tricky are the headers off corners.
They're so dumb.
It's like a fall away header from 8 yards with 8 people in the way, and you get a BCM. I also hate the There was one play the other week. I forget who it was. But the guy it might have been Tadic, actually. I think it was Tadic. It was Tadic, the game where he had -15. He had a shot like at the edge of the 6 that was blocked. They gave him a BCM for it. Then he had a shot cleared off the line by the defender, and he got a BCM for it. And it's just like, so dude got -7 for that stuff, and it's like, man, that's rough.
Yeah, I think I go back and forth on how I think that they should score those things. Like, if a goalie, and I actually end up getting more. This is the game, by the way. This was the Maxim red card game. The way that I think of it is either they should not get a big chance missed if the goalie saves it, or goalie should get something else for it. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, I know they usually get like a save inside the box, but like that's not the same as I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a tricky.
They don't. So the argument I've heard is basically like Opta don't count big chances saved. Like, it's not a stat.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense.
Opta should just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference between it's like the same thing as a penalty save and a missed penalty. Like, those are different things.
Yes. Well, if you stop a 1v1 from 3 yards, that is a lot different than you stopping a kick from 18 yards at the edge of the box that like dribbles in on you. Like, those are different caliber saves.
Or the 1v1 and they just miss wide.
Yeah.
And you have nothing, and you're the goalie and have nothing to do with it.
Correct. It's tricky.
Yeah.
But
are there any other teams or players that are struggling early that people are ready to? I can't think of any, to be honest. Which is probably good for all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, the season's like 2 weeks old, so it's not like it's that bad. But
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing the other way. Like, people definitely overreact to stuff too. Like, I'm thinking of Vonnegut, who just ripped hundreds to start the year, but like his price went from, I mean, look at the limit. What does his price go from? I'm going to assume it's a pretty substantial increase.
Yeah, I mean, reasonably, we're at like 50 to 75, as high as 115.
Yeah, so like it over doubled. And I'm not saying he's not a good card. He's a good card, but like nothing has changed from him from now to then. Like, he's the same player. So like people overreact. Like, if you are ever looking at a thing and you're buying in at the max price, you just probably shouldn't do it, right? Like, typically if you look at something, Wedge Game said PSG has sucked, but I'm not disrespecting the Lord. The Lord's great. I'm saying, Andy, he should have already been at that price to begin with, not that's what I'm saying about the Lord. But yeah, so Wedge Game said the PSG has sucked. Josh said about Bruno. Bruno's been not good, but the thing is with Bruno, I have watched the games and they have not had the best games. Like, the home game against Wolves was pretty good, but then this game against Spurs is not the best. Like, away at Spurs is not the best matchup. But the AA is still pretty solid. And like, they should have had a penalty this weekend. They didn't. It wasn't given, but like, he should have had a penalty. And then the Wolves game, like, the AA was there and just couldn't quite get a goal. Like, I wouldn't be too worried about Bruno, because like the idea with Bruno is that like you're buying him with the idea he's going to get 80 to 90 points when he gets a decisive, and with his AA currently, like, if he gets a decisive, he's going to be in the 80-point range. So like, I think it's okay right now.
I mean, if you're going to buying him before a home match against Nottingham Forest seems like a pretty good situation.
I was sitting there because I was very upset that he didn't do anything this weekend, because I wanted him to do something this weekend. And I was like, I hope he has a really good matchup next week, because these two have not been as good. And I saw Nottingham Forest at home. I'm like, all right, thank you.
Yeah, we're good.
That looks like a good matchup to me.
I like this. Rule number 1 from Quinny: avoid being the top dot purchase.
Yeah.
Seems good to me. PSG, can we even like really get on PSG knowing that like Mbappe is not there? Like, it feels like everyone who planned on PSG, what we've gotten is not what they planned for, and not in terms of like results, but this team is just very different if Mbappe is playing or not. And they were very different if Neymar is playing. He's obviously gone. So I feel like anyone who took the time to build into PSG, shout out to Genesis, this is probably not what they thought they were getting into.
Did you see the penalty that Hakimi conceded yesterday?
I have not seen it, but I
Oh.
saw the reactions to it, particularly from you. And you
It was so bad. It was so stupid. Like,
is this the one where the guy was running away from the goal?
dude was literally as far in the upper corner of the box running away from the goal as possible, and Hakimi just tripped him for no reason. It was so stupid.
Yeah.
It was so dumb. It was brutal. Steven has asked thoughts on Lacaba, thinking of swapping him for Colwell. I mean, I don't know what Lukeba is gonna, if like how locked in Lukeba will be as the year goes on. Same thing with Colwell. I don't know how locked in Colwell will be all season. It's one of those things. You have to look at the guy, decide if you like the guy. If you like him, you just ride till he solidifies himself. But back to PSG, Laird, because this is one of my boys. Milan Skriniar has looked really good from a Sorare perspective through 2 games.
Yeah.
And they look, which, I mean, some of it's attributed to their lack of ability to do anything offensively. But they have conceded this week, and he put up 70, and last week he had 65. I was like, yes. I would really, really want to see this. But, like, yeah, you look at it, and he really didn't do much in these games. Like, he just has a boatload of passes, and he had a lot of long passes in the opposition half, which, as we talked about, adds up. Like, Skriniar this game week had 16 points from just accurate passes and long balls into the opposition half. That's really nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
So, anyways, I'm hoping that Skriniar is going to be a bit better. But yeah, I bought that Dembele super rare. He looked quite good after coming on. That I felt pretty good about it. Like, I feel pretty good that Dembele is going to be in pretty good shape. And I think they'll start him against Lens this weekend.
So who's the front three? Like fully fit? That three is Dembele, Mbappe, and who?
I mean, it's going to be probably Colin when he comes, assuming he goes there. But for right now, it's overpriced shitbox Ramos.
It's Ramos. Jesus.
I'm shocked that he looks like he was an overpriced buy. Couldn't imagine that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I assume their normal front three is going to be Mbappe, Ramos, and Dembele,
right?
Until they bring in Colomani, and then they'll probably sit Ramos.
Man, so all that preseason Asensio enthusiasm.
Yeah, it doesn't look great for Asensio right now. I mean, he can considering that he wasn't even in the lineup to start this week was rough for him, because he started against Lorient and he was okay. He put up 52 in 68 minutes, which is solid. But yeah, the fact that he wasn't even in the starting lineup before those guys that are definitely going to start came in, that was rough.
Yeah.
Because that means it seems like Lee Kang-in is ahead of him. And then Colomwani likely comes in and he will be ahead of him. So it's definitely a situation where I don't know where Asensio is going to get. So Shoshchik just said, wonder if Vitinha will retain his spot. I don't know. I don't really. So if I look at this lineup, right?
This lineup where he is here is not his spot.
Well, so here's the thing. Zaire Emery seems locked. He seems locked into a spot. Ugarte seems locked into a spot. Mbappe is going to be locked into a spot. And then Dembele is probably locked into a spot. And then striker is going to be Ramos or Colomwani. That leaves one spot for Fabian Ruiz, Asensio, Lee Kang-in, Vitinha. I think there's even someone else.
Sorare.
No, I think he left. I think Sorare left.
He was right there. He's on the screen.
I think he was leaving. I think Sorare was leaving. I could be wrong. Who knows? They could also run a back three. And if they run a back three, there's one less spot. And all the other spots are solidified. So it's I don't know about if Vitinha will retain his spot or what his situation. Morris said that he saw a PSG rumor just now that they're interested in Griezmann. They should have been interested in Griezmann. To be honest, I would have brought in Griezmann to begin with if I was them. I sure as shit wouldn't have paid 80 million for Ramos.
Do you play Griezmann as a false
Just run the
nine?
French national team. Just go bring Tchouameni in. But just run the French national team. That's what they should have done.
Is it Griezmann false nine with Mbappe and Dembele on the wings? Yeah, that would be fun as shit. Yeah. Oh man, they should totally.
Yeah, I mean French national team, or run the French national team. Bring in Kolo Muani. Literally run Kolo Muani, Dembele, Mbappe. Then run. I mean, you can't have Kamavinga, so you'd have to bring someone else in. But like Tchouameni seemed like he'd be someone that would have left. But you can just run Ugarte. So like instead of Tchouameni, you run Ugarte. Instead of Kamavinga, you run someone else, and then you run Griezmann. And then you have Lucas Hernandez. Instead of the center backs, you have Marquinhos and Skriniar, and then you have Hakimi instead of Pavard. Yeah, it would be pretty good.
Yeah, if there was ever a team that should try it.
Yeah, I mean they're really good. Like, and all these guys were available. Like these guys were literally available to be brought in.
Well, Griezmann wasn't really available.
The Griezmann could be available. Like, I mean, he could have been available. We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
If he truly has a 20 million release clause, he's available.
Sure.
But I sure as shit wouldn't have paid 80 million for Ramos. That no matter what happens, I wouldn't have done that.
How do you get Ramos and not João Felix?
I don't know. I would have much rather. João Felix is such a better player than Ramos.
So much better.
Yeah. It's not even close. Yeah. So Morris says 25 million release for Griezmann. You've got to be a clear no-brainer. He wants to leave Madrid with how poor they've started.
I mean, it's been 2 games. Is it even 2? Isn't it 1?
If there's a 25 million release clause, he wants to leave, he'd leave. Like that's just a very easily triggerable number that they would have been able to hit. So I think
they also won the first game 3-1. I don't know. It's like how bad that they've started.
Yeah, Steven said that Nuno Mendes comes back as well. So yeah, like when Nuno Mendes comes back, there's a good shot they play a back 3 with Lucas Hernandez at left center back. Yeah, and they run Hakimi, Nuno Mendes on the wings. Then you have 2 mids, one of which is going to be Ugarte, the other is going to be Zaire Emery probably. But they're going to rotate those guys a bit, so it's not like they're going to, which guys are going to be consistent. Like it seems like there's going to be some guys that are super consistent.
Who are we missing? Because I'm thinking of Skriniar, Lucas Hernandez, and Marquinhos. Oh, Kimpembe. Is he hurt? He must be hurt.
I don't know, but I don't know if he started with. Josh just said that he got here late. He was wanted to know if we talked about people panicking in cat mode scores. I haven't seen people panicking in cat mode scores, but I don't really pay that much attention, I guess, to cat mode scores. And it's 100%. The start of every new season, there's going to be a lot of 0 L15 guys that are going to blow up cat modes. But like we've talked about it. Cap 240 is the worst spot for your cards because they just are not going to. You're realistically not going to win a high-end reward there.
So as somebody who has won a high-end reward there, I agree with you, though. You should never. Somebody commented about, I forget what lineup it was, that it could have been a cap 240 because I think Lucas Hernandez was a 0 to start the season. Sure. But anyway, I had a 0 in my lineup this weekend, like an L15 of 0. He scored 47, and I was like, I'm going to win cap 240. Didn't even make threshold.
Yeah, saw that. I saw you talk about it. I had an L15 of 0 and cap 240 super rare, and I got the threshold. Comfortably got the threshold. Put in a bunch of high L15 guys that would play that probably wouldn't hit their L15 with the 0, and it came through.
Love it. Love to see it.
Work great, but I'm not sitting there. I'm not expecting to win, right? Like I'm not expecting to end up on a near podium because the scores you need in those are stupid. Because
I think 270 is worth thinking about.
Yes, 270 I think is worth thinking about. 220 is horrendous, but like you could play you can play cards in 220 because no one takes it seriously. Like if you really want to win a card and win a decent card, cap 220 is not decent, but if you want to win a card and like feel good about coming higher up in a competition, cap 220 I think is really good for that because people do not take it seriously. And if you have like a 0 cap hit, you can really make a good lineup. Whereas like cap 270, if you have a 0, it's really difficult to fill out your lineup, right? It's hard because if you have a cap hit of 0 and cap 270, you're at like 62.5 a person. Whereas like cap 240, if you have a 0, you're at 60 a person. No, cap 270, I was wrong. It's 67.5. So 67.5 in cap 270, 60 in Cap 240. Like, it's hard to fill out those lineups with a 0.
With a 0, yeah.
But Cap 220, it's really good to fill out a lineup. But again, rewards are not going to be great. You're not going to win anything big, but like if you can win a tier 3 or something, if you really want to finish high up or something, you can do that in Cap 220.
Our good friend Gator Guy has had some success in Super Rare 220.
Yeah.
He has 3 podiums in the last 8 game weeks.
Yeah, so the issue is
and these are not bad. Cajolo, Kamara,
here's the
Jorginho.
issue with it, right? That generated them like 0.6 ETH.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to finish much better than a podium. And it generated like 0.6 ETH or 0.7 ETH. So it's just one of those things that's like,
I feel like that's pretty good for 220.
You know, it is, but that's the problem, right? Is like if you smash, you're not going to win something that's that good. You're going to win something that's pretty mediocre.
Yeah, but you're smashing with cards with bad cards. Like
no, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the cards that you a lot of the time will smash with are pretty good cards. They're just have low caps or something. I don't know. Go look at his lineups for those weeks. Like I'm assuming
this is the first one that won.
Yeah, like that's a pretty good lineup. For Cap 220, it's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah, it's a good lineup for Cap 220. Yes, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not sure you're using these cards elsewhere.
No, Swiderski you can use elsewhere. Bryce Duke you can use elsewhere. The Thiago Martins you can use elsewhere. Cornell you can use elsewhere.
Technically you can use them. Yes.
Godoy sucks. No, I mean like those aren't terrible cards. Like Bryce Duke has been pretty solid for Montreal. Like he's been pretty good. Like he's not been bad for Montreal. Cornell you can use elsewhere. Anyways, I mean it's definitely a situation where you can get a card of some sort of value there, I think, and it could be worthwhile.
Yep. I think that's all I got. I don't have another team that I want to flame right now.
Who do you want? You know what? Actually, I have a quick rant. This is just a personal rant.
Yeah, bring it. That's a good way to finish. What do you got?
It sucked this weekend that like literally I went into yesterday and I just didn't have a game that was like interesting to watch from an SFI perspective. Just not a rant at sober or anything. It was just this sucked because Saturdays I'm busy. So like typically Saturdays are my busiest day of the week, which is obviously weird for most people. But so Saturdays it's a bit more tricky for me to watch games sometimes. And Sunday though I can usually watch a lot of games on Sunday. And like Sunday came around, I looked at the list of games and I'm like, yeah, I don't really have a game that matters to me at all today. And it was just like, or the only game I had that mattered was 20, maybe would matter. And I woke up like 3 minutes into the game and Understall conceded a penalty already. I was like, well, don't have to watch this anymore. But
I would highly recommend getting into the Danish Super League because they have a ton of Sunday games. They pretty much never play Saturday.
There were a lot of Sunday games. My lineups were
just for lineup wise.
Yeah, my lineups were just dog shit, and I just didn't have interest in games yesterday. Like I definitely could have had spots where I had a lot of interest. I just didn't.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I had a dreadful game week myself, so
I did not have a good game week. For me, it was a very bad game week.
Yeah, I've still got a few players today, but no one's actually going to save the day. It's really disappointing.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything. I'm just going to end up with worse cards than I currently am winning. I did almost have a sweat in the obviously most hated for me rare division, but I averaged 80 points a player. Where do you think I'm at?
Is this your Champ Europe? Somebody in chat mentioned something about Champ Europe. So I'm guessing 80 a player. I'm
at 440.
Tier 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did see someone else separately was like complaining about the high scores I think they said
I don't care about that.
Well, no, I know that. But somebody was saying how 366 in Champ Europe was the minimum to get a reward.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is ridiculous. I think it was somebody was tweeted Zora and they were like, fix it. And my immediate thought was there are more games today.
Yeah.
That number's only going up.
Yeah, I can drop down. I can fall to 107th. I mean, obviously it's not realistic. I probably will finish like 9th or something.
Yeah.
So all right, here's the next question because this is a rare and we talk about rares. Because like 400 points is hard to hit, right? Like,
yeah, 400. I feel like
really hard to hit. So I have 400 in rare. I have 398.73. What position do you think I am in U23 rare?
Podium.
No.
Oh, I don't know.
No. I'd be
And
happy if I hit a podium.
I'm looking now. Oh, 62nd for 398.
Yeah, and I probably will finish. I'm assuming I'll finish like 70-ish, 75th-ish, because I'll probably drop a little bit. But yeah, like 400 is hard to hit, and it's like you're 75th. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not complaining that's hard to hit. I'm just, that more goes into our normal discussion of like, hey guys, the rare division is not it.
Yeah. Let me actually go one more question, specifically about U23. It has nothing to do with what we talked about so far. What do you think are the 5 best rare U23 cards to win right now?
Without looking?
Just like, what do you consider the 5 best cards you can win in U23?
Am I allowed to look?
Yeah, look.
Okay. And we're talking about like that should be in the player pool, because I'm assuming this is going to be like you're going to be like they're not in the player pool.
I didn't even look at the player pool, but like we've had so many conversations about players. We don't have Mbappe anymore.
Yeah.
And like which players, there are some players who are no longer minted, and so like we know that Mbappe doesn't count anymore for U23. But
okay,
who do you think would be like the 5 best that you would want to win?
The 5 best realistic options would be Jude, Holland, Vinny Jr., Musiala, Van de Voort, Costa. Like that's 6. That 6 is probably the answer.
Do you think because that's the list, people aren't as excited about U23?
I don't know. Are people not excited about U23?
Should they be as excited as they were last year when we had like so many other like banger cards?
No,
because I mean, like that's that exciting.
Before that, well, I mean, I guess you can't really win Mbappe right now, anyways, because I don't think PSG is covered.
Right.
But like, to me, the things that are exciting is always, can you win the best card there? And U23 last year, like all the best cards were in U23.
Yeah, it felt that way.
And now it's like a lot of the best cards aren't there. But I mean, still like a good top end list. Like I would love to have a Jude Bellingham right now. He looks really good.
So I guess the better question is, who are the next 5?
Okay.
Because realistically, those are more likely to be won. I don't know. It just
so
feels like
one of the Musiala, Van de Voort, and Costa group. One of that group, Costa, Musiala, Van de Voort. Probably Saka, Chevalier, Kachu, Wirtz, Pedri.
Is Benfica still minted?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe not.
I
don't know. No, maybe not. I mean,
I think Porto dropped.
Sporting and Porto that aren't. I think Benfica still is.
You're right. Yep.
So that would probably be the next 5. I think.
Mm-hmm. All right. I was just
right. Like that's probably like your next 5.
Yeah.
Coltrane is on top of U23 limited with 496. Congrats. That's a great score. That's a very impressive score. I hope you win that. That's
496.
Manito said Antonio Silva. I would definitely not be as happy to win Antonio Silva as the rest of these guys, and I won Antonio Silva last week, and I was happy about it.
So Antonio Silva,
I was like,
we were talking about this in somewhere today. The Challenger Rare Pro, well, Rare and Rare Pro is the same. Star prize pool currently has 6 Challenger players and 4 La Liga guys.
I saw that.
Of the 6, 4 are goalies, and the only 2 that are not are Antonio Silva and who would be the other one? Icardi.
Oh,
that's it.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, this is the lineup by Coltrane, which is
we got to be getting new cards,
crazy lineup,
right? Like we got to be getting new cards from somewhere this week, right?
You would think so, because a lot of the Challenger leagues have been on for 3 or 4 weeks now.
Yeah, like a lot of the Challenger leagues started like the end of
July.
So like we got to be getting cards.
Yeah. In fact, Croatia and the Danish Super League started like a month ago today.
Yeah, like those should in theory be the first ones back in, and then Belgium. Yep. Which I mean, it's fine. I mean, new cards is new cards. Like you need the. So here's a question for you: why is Challenger Europe right now considered better than winning America?
Because the season's just starting. That's all.
I would much rather win America right now than I would Challenger Europe.
You don't. Well, prize pool wise,
Yeah.
the prize pools are dreadful in Challenger.
No,
like I
it's
looked and I was like, I'm not sure why I even play this right
it's
now.
not that. It's the most expensive card in those two areas for the first time ever is in
because it's Messi. Yeah,
Messi.
I mean, you can make that argument. Are there that many Champ Europe guys more than Messi?
No, but the thing is too is like the America prize pool is pretty damn diluted, except for Messi because he came in so late. So like there is quite a bit of. Oh, actually, I'm not sure about that because did they mint? What season did they count stuff at?
For who, Messi? Messi's a new season card.
Okay, so there's a lot of Messi supply.
There
So
are a
like
lot.
you win America, you have a pretty big chance to win Messi. Like you have a better chance of winning Messi if you win Champ or if you win America than of winning Holland if you win U23. Like you win U23, you're not going to win Holland. If you win America, you have a reasonable shot at winning Messi.
Like they have an entire season of Messi available if they want, and they're up to 10 or 11 rares.
Yeah,
one super rare.
Yeah, like there's quite a few Messis to be won.
Yeah, I mean, if they do it, they could also just not.
Like yeah. Someone just brought up, so Coltrane just brought up Skov Olsen has to be up there at the moment. Skov Olsen's a pretty good U23 forward option right now. His
people are not getting excited to win this guy.
No, I want him and I was excited to win him.
That's because you know what these green dots are about. Most people are.
Of course, I want guys that are going to smash for me. I mean, granted, again, like we talked about earlier, right? Like of the situation where Fenerbache has played the best spots of their season.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to beat Upin and Molenbeek. Like those are probably your two marquee spots within the league. That said, he's a pretty good card to have right now. We don't really know what his price is because he sold 2 days ago for 0.366. He's on the uptick. My guess is that Skov Olsen's probably close to 0.45 to 0.5 right now. Like if there was an auction right this second, I think there's a good shot he's worth a decent clip.
Yeah, this auction was what, 2 days ago?
2 days ago, he ripped another 100. He looked really good.
Yeah.
Also, he's said that he will stay for the year. Like it's come out that he will stay. So like he's someone you do not have to worry about from a transfer perspective right now, which is I cannot wait for the Saudi league to be closed. Tell you that. So, I've lost so many guys.
I was going to just tweet this question. I might still do it, but I'll ask you too. What if the situation ends up, because everyone's like, oh yeah, they'll get Saudi next year, whatever. What if it comes out that they just cannot get the license? Like we know this happens.
Mm-hmm.
Do they add coverage?
No.
Like they were very clear that they wouldn't, but it was also, I feel like under the guise of like, well, we don't have it yet. But what if they go to the Saudi, what do they call it? Pro League. They're like, hey, we want to do some NFTs of your players. And they were like, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, I don't think I would. I don't think they would do it. I just don't think they'd do it. I don't think they would do it. I have a question for you in regards to that. But Denzel said, what about Orban if he stays? He'll be a top option. If I want to gift Orban, he'd be out of my gallery very quickly. Immediately. I don't think he stays. Yeah, Josh, I am a war veteran. I have lost a lot of guys. Like
lost a lot of good men out there.
I've lost a lot of good guys in the Saudi trenches this year, sadly enough. Zarkipu's got hit really hard.
I don't know anyone who's taken it worse.
Well, so the thing is right, to me, it's a gallery ratio perspective. Yeah. Like how much of your ratio? Like, I would say I've lost.
It's not close. Yeah, as much as you think it's me.
No, I think I've lost like 8 to 10% of my gallery to Saudi. Maybe not. Maybe my number's like 6 to 8. Zarkipu's probably lost like 15 to 20% of his gallery to Saudi. It
might be more. I mean,
it's been a lot.
I feel really bad like bringing this up because he like listens, but like Neymar super rare,
Yeah.
Jota super rare. I'm just like going through his gallery. God, those are just
Yeah.
Benzema super rare, Verratti super rare, which hasn't happened yet, so maybe still holding out hope there. Oh, he had a Courtois too. Jesus.
Yeah.
Obviously not Saudi on that one.
Back to Denzel. Like Gift Orban would just be out of my gallery really quickly. Like I don't think he scores that well to begin with. It's not bad, but like I just don't think he scores well enough to justify being in my gallery at his price point. The AA is just not there. Like he's had. All right, here, Laird. So Gift Orban has played. He started 22 games for Ghent. How many times has he cracked 10 AA?
3.
5. It's just not going to cut it for me.
Yeah, it's just not. Yeah, it's not the kind of player you go
like,
after.
And also, I don't think he stays, or if he does, I don't think he stays long term. But like, Gift Orban averages a decisive a game and does not average 60 points a game in his start. Like, if you don't average 60 points a game and you average a decisive a game, I can't do that for you.
Yep.
Coltrane asked, should Trubin be in the top 10 of U23 prizes? No, not right now, because I don't know if he's going to start. I guess long term, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to assume he's going to start, but like Samuel Suarez is a 21-year-old who they played this weekend.
Yeah, and they know him.
I don't know. Like, Mike Basson asked, did Cherokee appear in the U23 besties? No, unfortunately. He had a good weekend this weekend, though. He had 60 with no decisive.
Mm-hmm.
He had a nice AA game this weekend. So Nito said that he's going to start in 2 to 3 weeks. I'm assuming that's in Trubin. Yeah, like, I mean, I would love to have a Trubin right now. Like, I would like to have a Trubin right now. It's very clear. Like, the situation this weekend doesn't happen unless Odysseus is gone. Like, so he is, in my view, like, Odysseus is dead. Like, he's dead. He's gone. You can move on from him. So it really just comes down to, like, Trubin and to be fair, like, if Trubin is going to start at Benfica, what seems pretty likely, actually, this is probably what I would do. And I think it's pretty reasonable. Trubin at Benfica is probably the best U23 goalie if he starts. And the same would be said if it was Samuel Suarez. You could just buy both right now for like 1.4. So like if you wanted to buy both their rares for 1.4, you probably could and just call it a day and just have both. And Manito said that Odysseus wants to leave after the last game situation. Yeah, like as soon as that situation happened, like Odysseus is dead. Like he's gone.
Yeah.
Mike Basson said that he believes they'll be saving Messi's for the long game prize pools. They're going to be saving some of every card for the long game prize pool.
They could put Messi everywhere. If they
the point isn't that they're going to save Messi's. It's that like when you come in the middle of the season and you get a full run of cards, they only have a half season to get rid of your cards, and they've already gone through half of their supplies. So that card is over supplied right now. So that card ends up being given out quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, they have until February pretty much to get.
Yeah, they have extra time, but I'm saying like if you look at the prize pools for like America, like Gil, like let's say Gil started the season with 20 cards available in a competition, he's going to be down to like at this point like 6 to 8, whereas Messi has 20. So like you are more likely to win a Messi because of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So Manito said Ajax and Man United are teams that could bid on him. Ajax makes a lot of sense. So does Man U, honestly. Man U, if he's okay being a backup, that makes some sense. I don't think he's going to.
Why would you be okay being that? Like,
well, I don't know. He wants to get paid.
There are plenty of places.
Big Paul was okay with being a bench warmer at Southampton. They suck. At least Man U's probably a top 4 team.
Yeah. All right. I think that does it. After those couple random things. Thank you to everybody for joining us. If you could please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. All of that is much appreciated. I'm back tomorrow. Limited time only. Keith, Gator Guy 231, out this week. Nepenthe is in. Couldn't replace Sean on the strategy show, so we're just going to replace Keith over there on limited time only, at least for this week. And then full range of stuff the rest of the week as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining, and good luck